So for today's episode, we're going to talk about the importance of having quality in your messaging and all the different types of content. There's so many different touch points today, all the way from your traditional marketing and media, all the way to digital. We're going to be focusing a little bit on video, as since we have Jordan Quackenbush, who is the creative director with Openness Productions, and he's going to be sharing with us his insights and on how to really take some of that messaging and look at a story piece, being really open to new ideas and some of the results you might see. So this is going to be an awesome episode. You don't want to miss it. I'm Danny Gonzalez, and this is IndustrialSage. All right, so we're ready to jump into this episode. I'm very excited about talking about this. So Jordan, before we get going, maybe if you could introduce yourself into the audience, tell us a little about your background and what you're currently doing.
Sure, yeah, I'm a creative director here at Openness Productions. I've been here for a little over 4 years now, coming 4.5. Started as a motion graphics editor, tag along for my illustrious boss, and just have been able to grow from there and being able to start controlling projects. Once the projects are signed off, I basically have creative control over it, working with the clients directly and being able to help bring their story to life.
Okay.
So my day ranges anywhere from sitting in After Effects and working on motion graphics to going on a shoot. I was on a shoot yesterday and listening to interviews from the various doctors that were there. So anything in between, I can do.
All right, and a little bit of Optimum, what kind of work and stuff is that focused on?
Yeah, Optimum, we call ourselves a video marketing agency, unless that's wrong, tell me.
It is, that's good.
Video marketing agency, so we're really focusing on not just creating the story of the corporate video. So yes, we'll shoot your seminar, we'll shoot your product videos, our identity videos, but then what do you do with those videos? Not just, let's take your product, put it on a pedestal, spin it, and tell you the features about it, but actually creating the story around it, and then helping you to distribute that, to get it to your target audience, finding out what your target audience actually is, and helping to make it more than just, here's your video, we're done, but trying to get people to recognize that, just like with print, you need to be able to find and target your audience, and you don't just throw out a mailer to everyone on the street.
Well,
you might.
Some do.
But if you really wanted to reach people that are interested in your product or service, being able to then get to those people.
Right, absolutely. And so, obviously with video, imagine, the topic of this, we're talking about really the importance of quality in your messaging and quality just in terms of the look and the feel and what this is. And obviously in video, that's really important. But it's not just important, I would imagine, just in specific to video, just all pieces of content. And so we've had we've had quite a bit more, with the technology changing, there's more use cases, there's more content out there. And so maybe talk to us, let me ask you this question, I guess. Is having high quality content, video and otherwise, important? And if so, why?
Well, look at a print magazine. All right, so you have, just pick up any magazine off the shelf in the dentist office or such. You have your, Popular Mechanics or bias towards that, Golf Digest.
Yeah, sure.
And you've got your ads in there, and this is a national magazine. It's going to a lot of people. You look at a print ad in there, and they've put a lot of effort into the quality of that print ad. Then you go to your mom and pop restaurant, and you've got the little coupon cutouts and whatnot, and maybe they have just some brief text and a picture of Jim, the owner, that's standing there. And there's a perception right away from that of what their company, the quality of that company. Sure, if you're looking for a great barbecue place, you're not going to really be too concerned about it. But if you're looking to trust someone with your brand, your products, to then buy their products and trust that it's going to work, that their service is going to keep your company safe or your employees safe, you will automatically be drawn to something where they have put forth an effort to actually look professional, where they are looking competent, and it's automatically going to draw you that direction. I'm a nerd, I like Star Trek, and so I think of First Contact. The Federation, they have a big push towards the Prime Directive and how they initiate first contact with a new species. And in the same way that the Federation will be very, cautious about how they approach someone new, so should product and service companies be cautious about how they approach a new client base or when they put themselves out there. You want your initial contact to be one that is impressive, that is not just impressive for impressive sake, but it exudes the quality that you believe in yourself. Do you believe that you have a Yugo? Or do you believe that you have, maybe you're not the Ferrari, but you're a Mercedes or you're a Lexus? Do you actually put yourself as that, or do you kind of just, hey, here we are, I'm Jimmy, the car dealership owner. Sorry if you're a car dealership owner, Jimmy. And being able to, when people come across you the first time, what is going to be their initial reaction?
Exactly, and I really like the analogy that you brought in with the barbecue restaurants. I love barbecue, big fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, you always hear about sometimes that hole in the wall restaurant. Like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing. But you're like that perception that you have. You hear the hole in the restaurant means okay, it doesn't maybe look the most attractive on the outside, so you have a little bit of fear, a little bit of trepidation, like is this place actually going to be good, or am I going to get food poisoning, or I don't, what's going to happen here? And then you magically stumble upon it. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like the best kept secret, which is great for you, maybe not so much for the business. But oh wow, we found this gem. We have this great barbecue, and it's so awesome, and it's amazing. But on the outside, you're a little nervous about it, and so I think like that's definitely can happen to a lot of companies where you're the best kept secret, and which is not a good thing if you're trying to build awareness, right?
Right.
So you may have the best, most amazing product, but if it doesn't represent that, to your point about the Yugo versus the Ferrari or the Mercedes, that content really needs to reflect that, because people, their perception they will create of you,
And to that point, you don't have to have marketing. Doesn't have to be flashy. If that is your brand, be that, but be genuine to your brand. If you are a mom and pop place, you can have marketing that looks like quality, but it's not being disingenuous to your brand.
Right.
It's not trying to be the Coca-Cola of barbecue dealerships,
right, because
you're very central and localized. And a lot of the companies that we work with, I mean, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, you're probably an internet brand. Yes, you might have some localized nature, but you're looking to spread out. You're looking to grow beyond just your 10-mile radius, like the barbecue place. So you want to be able to reach a mixed market. You want to be able to reach a broader audience that might not be drawn to you if you're just local.
Yeah. One of the challenges I think a lot of manufacturing and industrial marketers and companies just in general kind of struggle with is that they kind of sometimes can feel like they get down on themselves in terms of, we're not necessarily a B2C product. We've got this really cool, quote unquote, sexy product that we're putting out there. We're just, we're distributors and we're moving boxes around. And that's what we feel like we do. Or that, we just create this widget and there's, nothing sexy about it because we're not buying ads and putting it on primetime TV and doing all this stuff and
Well, it's I think we hit a lot of logistics companies and service companies, and 3 come to mind. 2 we've worked with and 1 we haven't. That it can be really easy to fall into that trap of I just have a service. How do you make that look good? And it's not even like brewing coffee where you can have steam rising. What can we actually do? How do we take our boring, to us boring because we're so used to it,
right, exactly,
product or service and make it look good, attractive and whatnot. So HD Supply is one that we worked with a few years back, specifically the power solution side of things. They help power distributors. They basically will take your converters, your coils of wire, and they'll have giant laydown yards where we're just leaving it here on a dirt lot for months at a time while we're building new power infrastructure, and a little bit more than that. But that is essentially the core of what they do. And it's like, okay, we're so used to it now, we're kind of bored by it. How do we bring it? And that's one where an outside company can really help bring a fresh set of eyes. And then pulling in the human element to it. And, okay, yes, you have power. You did help distribute power. You help distribute the infrastructure to make power happen from the plant to the home. The home, there you go. People make things happen. If you didn't have someone switching on their lights,
Right.
you wouldn't have the need for that service. So we then can take that idea of the human connection, the human element, and interject. Here is the human element to it. Here's the people that are sipping wine on their vacation in Paris or whatever, and they're enjoying their lives because they don't have to worry about power, because you've provided that power for them, or at least the infrastructure to make that happen. You have the girl who's reading with a flashlight under the covers, and she doesn't have to worry about not having power for her house, A, because she's a toddler, and B, because it's scary when the lights are out. And yeah, she has a flashlight in that particular visual, but the idea of comfort and safety is there, and that HD Supply Power Solutions provided that for them. And the next one that comes to mind is Vestra, a logistics company. They help move product from point A to point B. On the core of that just sounds super boring.
They're a trucking company.
They're a trucking company, and being able to take that idea and, all right, how do we make this look good? How do we make it sexy? How do we make it marketable in a way that will inspire people, the way that will get people excited about it? And we came up with a completely off-the-wall concept with them, and being able to, this guy is in a transparent suit talking about their particular product, and that makes sense for that product. It makes sense in a way that's like, you watch and you're like, that what? Yeah. But I'm going to watch now, and I'm going to see what they have to say about themselves. And the third one, I forget, it was a railroad company, and we've seen their videos before, and they're a logistics company. They move things from point A to point B via trains, and they're able to bring in a lot of drone footage and tell that human story through it, and how they help make humanity possible on its core function because of moving stuff by trains. And they also have the element that all little boys love trains. So there's, as we grow up, we're like, oh, trains. Yeah. So it's, being able to have that fresh set of eyes really helps to pull you out of your potentially down on yourself mentality, whether or not you express it. But we worked with Stanley Cribmaster, and they've had, when we finished the videos for them, they had employees come up to the marketing team and say, I want to work for that company. You already do. This is your company that you work for, and just that inspiration that the videos can provide, and your marketing effort can provide to even your own employees. Right.
No, it's really that quality, and I think what we're starting to touch on a little bit, we're getting into is really sort of that power of story. Yeah. So maybe having things that are a little bit more story driven, which is a really it's a big thing right now. We're seeing that obviously in not just analytics, but just some of these reports. So like what you were saying there with the example with Cribmaster, where employees are coming in saying, "Oh my gosh, this company is amazing. I wish I wish I want to work for them." You're like, "No, you already do." So it's really that, which a little biased to video here, but excited about the ability for video to be able to really create an emotion, and to really, like you said, to really kind of come and look at it through a new, fresh sort of set of eyes, kind of think outside the box, and to kind of go, when it comes to the messaging and thinking about what you do, think a little bit broader. It's not, okay, yes, we are, manufacturing, this widget, or we're doing this, and we're selling this, that, we're manufacturing ball bearings that are going into the automotive industry. Okay, all right, well, let's think a little bit deeper. Let's extrapolate that a little bit versus let's just being so, and I get it. There's a lot of engineering minds. There's a lot of engineering going into that. But when you start kind of pulling that, taking a step back, when you start looking at that, then you just, wow, all these amazing things are so.
Well, I mean, as creative director, I experience, and for a corporate video company, I experience a lot of different clients, like a huge swath of clients. We have clients that work in plastics. We have clients that work in logistics. We have clients, you name the industry, and we may have dabbled or done a series of videos for them. Healthcare, dentistry, cancer research was what I was shooting earlier, and just a huge swath of things that to each of those individuals can get routine. Yeah. They can get boring because it's what you see and do every day. If I was doing the same thing every single day and working with potentially just one client every single day, I can understand how that would just get old.
Yeah.
But coming in with that fresh set of eyes where I can say, wow, that's pretty fascinating what you do. You might be used to it, but to me, I might not be your customer, but I have a set of eyes that are fresh like your customer would. And being able to then, with that fresh set of eyes, craft the story around that, craft the story of how, thinking in my head, how does that affect me personally? And then being able to say, well, all right, well, that's the story. So that reminds me of, this one company we work with, ADO, and they help eyewear professionals that aren't your Pearl Visions, they aren't your lens crafters, to be able to come into a group and say, we'll help you out, we'll take care of you. On the onset, that sounds great, they're helpful, you have the immediate, hey, we're your buddy, we're your team, but how do you get it in a way that's not hokey, that's not cliche, that's not just your standard, we're here for you handshake.
Yeah.
And we're able to work with them and come up with the concept of the visual metaphor of a team of rowing people, and that they're rowing together for a common goal, and being able to take that, put together some gorgeous looking footage, if I say so myself, and come up with that whole story. We were talking, what you said a moment ago, and how do you get that emotion in there? Earlier we were talking about print media, and one of the things you miss in print media is both the moving picture aspect, but then also the music. And when you look at a magazine print or even on web, you might have your little animation, but you're not going to have on your banner ads or whatnot, you're not going to have the music aspect to it. And if you do, it's really annoying on the website, and no one likes that.
The website walkout video.
Yeah, the walkout video. I'm glad that's dying. But with an actual video, you have the aspect of music, and just, you watch any of your favorite movies, and they're going to have that iconic music track that will draw you in
Yes.
at any specific point that just heightens your emotions. And it's the same way with corporate video. I mean, it's no different. When you have that story that you want to tell, you need to bring in an inspirational piece of music. You need to bring in something that just helps it doesn't pull away from everything, but it helps to heighten the desired emotion. And
Absolutely.
all of this comes together to create something that's greater than the sum of all the pieces, that it draws your viewers in a way that none of these other outlets can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, I mean, that's a really, great point there. And I think part of, maybe if I'm hearing correctly, is just really the idea of saying, hey, look, let's just kind of explore a little bit beyond. Let's kind of get away from the plain Jane kind of type of marketing. Look, if you're a company and all the marketing stuff looks the same, the trade show booth looks the same, the print material looks the same, the videos look the same, the banner ads look the same, and it's the same message, we're the greatest, we're the whatever, that's not working anymore. And story, because really that's where you're able to have that human connection, that emotional, they say that adage when you always want to do business with your friends kind of thing. Well, it's kind of a way of being able to introduce that relationship and that connection. And I think to tie things back to the quality is that there's so many touch points that we have just across the digital spectrum, not even digital, but just traditional as well with a company now. I mean, think about it. You've got just across the board. You mentioned print, so you've got flyers to magazines, to direct mail, which is actually starting to come back. And on the digital side, let's say you've got banner ads, let's say you've got videos, let's say you've got white papers, let's say you've got case studies, you've got your website, you've got landing pages, you've got, that I mentioned, banner ads and text ads through PPC, like all this stuff, right? There's all these different touch points that somebody may come in and have never ever heard of your business. And that first interaction that they see with them, they're going to make a decision.
Yeah.
And it's a subconscious decision. I mean, it's the same. We do the same thing when you go and you meet somebody new. I think, what is it? I don't know what the stat is, but something like within a matter of seconds that you make it. You're like, okay, I'm going to make a judgment on this person. I'm basically saying I like this person or I do not.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, and it's really fast. And the same exact thing happens when people are coming across new brands for the first time. So I think the onus is on the companies be able to make sure that when they are presenting themselves for the first time, or even the second, the third, and fourth time, what's that experience going to be?
It's a strong, it's a strong responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And you have this, if you don't want people to turn away from you from the get-go, you need to be able to market yourself well. And one of the things that becomes one of my pet peeves, if you will, is that a lot of companies will market themselves for themselves. So they will...
It's a great point.
They will have their marketing, and the marketing manager, bless their hearts, they're going to be like, no, we need to do this.
Yeah.
When the company that they partner with, us or whomever, is saying, but that's not really, you need that fresh set of eyes. We are trying to help you see that that's not really helping your brand.
Yeah.
That's not really getting your message in the best way possible. Yes, that might be okay. That might get you people, but really there is a better way, or there's a few better ways. And so often we're seeing a lot of companies want to, market themselves for themselves, or the president or the CEO or someone in the top floor wants to make this his child, his hill to die on, or hers. And because of that, their marketing, the company image overall suffers. And it's important to have that team mentality with the company you're partnering with. It's important to have the checks and balances. And it's also important to, to test out with
absolutely
your target audience. Have some of those trusted clients that aren't going to say, well, that looks terrible, see you later. But the ones that you have that rapport with and say, here's something we're trying out. How does that resonate with you? If you were coming off the street, what do you think of that? And being able to take it out of your own pocket, out of your own clutched hands, and say, let's be vulnerable. Let's be open to trying something new. And honestly, the clients we've worked with that had that mentality, they had some of the sweetest videos out of it.
Yeah.
The Crib Master, the one we're talking about, where their employees came up and they're like, I want to work for the company. You do. They gave us more or less carte blanche to be able to take their branding and craft that story around it. And, working with them and not having to be like, are you sure you really want to do that? Because that's not for your best interest.
Yeah.
So being able to, not hold so tightly to your babies.
Man. So two really key words you said there that I just love is just being vulnerable and being open. I think that just speak volumes. I think that's the challenge, because it's difficult. I totally get it.
If we were trying to rebrand ourselves, we went through the logo design, 3.5 years ago, and it was a process when we had to step back and let the graphic designer kind of have his way of it.
That's a great story. Yeah, we actually did. We were like, we don't know. We tried to do it internally, even though we do creative stuff, we do all these things, and it was...
I had 2 large sheets of paper that were just full of things, and we went with someone else's design.
Passed it off to somebody else to get those fresh eyes and to be open and say, okay, hey, look, let's just, this is maybe a little too close.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I love that. So let's try to eat our own dog food, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But so true, that openness and the vulnerability, and you're absolutely right. It's time and time and time again. That's the challenge. Saying, from a marketing perspective, this is great. We're all excited about this internally about this. Okay, well that's awesome, but that's awesome. But I get it. But who really cares? Honestly, at the end of the day, I could really care less if internally you love it. I do, but the reality of it is, those are not the people you need to be talking to find out whether they really like it or not. That needs to be your customers. And we've had, this goes back to a lot of common themes that we've had in previous IndustrialSage episodes, where we talk about the importance of strategy. We talk about the importance of, persona development, or having a target audience, that market, looking and understanding what their challenges are. And it has massive repercussions, not just in the marketing. It has repercussions in the sales. It has repercussions in the product development. We were talking with pragmatic marketing. John Gertrude, he was talking about, if you're producing products because you think, hey, we think these are really cool and this is really awesome, that's great, but do your customers, your prospects think this is really cool and really awesome? If they do, great. If they don't, you got a problem.
Yeah, you have to look at just as though your products are a source of revenue, you have to look at the videos you create as a source of revenue. Yes, if it's a training video, that's a little different. But if you're creating an identity video, if you're creating a product video, any of these things, you need to see it not as just another expense, but it's a source of revenue. Just as your ads are directly drawing people to you, you need to look at your video marketing as a source of revenue. How is that then going to bring in your clients or your potential clients? Are they going to be drawn in by it, or are they just going to be like, okay?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's opportunity to be able to stand out when everyone else is doing something or not. Just be different. I think that's the big, especially when unless if you're in an completely, undifferentiated market and you're the only player and there's, okay, that's in your super niche. Okay, cool. But a lot of these companies, there's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of noise, and there's a big, the sea of same.
I think, I look at the video game industry, for instance. I sort of a gamer. I used to be a gamer a lot more back in the day, but we're at the point now where video game graphics are basically where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get 4K and 8K and whatever happens, but at a certain point, players aren't going to care if you can see every individual leaf on that tree. What they're going to care about is if that story is there.
That's a great
Madden,
point.
sure.
Yeah.
You want sweet, great-looking graphics for Madden 2016 or 2018 or whatever, but when it comes to any kind of a story-based situation, a lot of players nowadays are going back to video games that aren't so flashy, where you might have something that's more kitschy, but it has an amazing story behind it. It's easy to look at a quality approach to something, the story approach to something, and say, okay, but is that going to cost me $500,000? Is that going to whatever threshold you think it's going to cost? And a lot of times, it's not. It's looking at that and saying, all right, the story is the core aspect. You want production to be good. You want it to back up what you're doing.
Right.
But you can get it at a value that will, back to the revenue stream, it's going to increase your revenue ability because people are going to see it and they're going to say, that's quality.
Yeah.
There's an emotional connection and the quality is there to back it up. Let's marry those two and make something that just blows the socks off people.
Exactly. And it gets even more exciting now when you've got things like analytics and be able to take some of this and be able to measure it. Which I think that was a big problem before. And I totally get it. Being a analytical person, I've got some creativity and got some analytical side.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Okay, what are we getting for this? Okay, how much you want me to spend on this? That's a lot of money. Okay, well, it sounds like a lot of money if you don't understand what that can bring to you. So, you brought out a really good point. It's all about looking at it as using that as a more of an asset versus an expense. We have to spend this to whatever. No. Like if you really dial this in, this is going to be an engine for you that's going to help drive revenue for you.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds a little similar, driving revenue. IndustrialSage, something, I don't know. Oh, there it is. Look, look at that.
I don't know if we can see that on the camera. Probably not. It's down here.
Yeah. Well, that was completely accidental and very coincidental that happened. So, no, but I think that's these are all really great points. So let me to wrap up. I'm going to ask you this question: what would you tell somebody, a manufacturing industrial type company that's kind of they're sitting back saying, well, maybe we need to shake things up. What should we do? Not and maybe not even specific to video, but just marketing in general. What would some tips or some advice you'd say to somebody who's been more traditionally like, I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
If I was going to challenge a company to think outside the box, cliche of that aside, it's easy for the in-house marketing team to fall into that same trap of how do we make ourselves look good to the outside. Bring in someone from the outside. Bring in an Optimum Productions. Bring in the company of your choice, wherever you are, and work with them, see what their fresh set of eyes are. But you need to make sure you convey your concerns, your realities, your situations well. Because if they don't have a good baseline, they're not going to be able to work with it.
Right.
So do that, and as you do that, be that open and vulnerable side, and let your brand be out there for them to fiddle with. Obviously, if they mess it up, fire them and work with someone else.
Yeah.
But be open to a completely different way of doing things that you may not have thought of. See how that works with your customers. Have that trusted customer or customers that will give you the feedback from their perspective. Most people are not their own customers. You're not going to be able to really look at it correctly from your own perspective. So bring in those things, but also, look at how demographics are shifting and how things are changing.
Great point. Yeah.
You want to be able to, millennials, hate them or love them, they are, the youngest millennials are now graduated from high school. They're in college. They're in the workforce. And oldest millennials are your mid-level managers already. 37 is about the age cutoff between Gen X and millennials, blending aside. They're already going to be your managers. They're already, they may not be in the C-suite unless you're real small, you're an entrepreneurial company, but millennials are there in your workforce. Yeah. So it's not just your new hires. It's not just your trainees. They are the people who are forming your company now. And they are the people, thusly, that are forming your target customer companies.
Yeah.
So
great point.
Bring in set of eyes from that perspective. Whether or not you might like their perspective, they are the future. They are now. And we are now. We are Legion. Yeah. But we are the ones that are, forming target customer bases.
Right.
So one of the things we have is a great BS radar. Like you said earlier, it's really easy to create something that isn't really you. And we can really easily sniff that out and say...
We as in millennials.
We as millennials can really easily sniff that out and know. We can tell quality from poor craftsmanship. We can tell if your marketing isn't living up to what your product is. And we're going to be the ones that will have that instant reaction to how you present yourself and being able to say, that just... Why should I look at you when your biggest competitor is doing something better?
Yeah.
Yes, your website might be okay, but if their website's slightly better, even if their service isn't as good, we're often going to go that direction. Yeah. It's just the reality of the issue.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to face as marketers. What our clients have to face as marketers is that those aspects, you need that fresh set of eyes. You can't be rooted in how you've done things forever. You have to change. And if you don't change, you're going to be the blockbuster of today.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way of, or the blockbuster of yesterday.
Yeah.
That is no more today. Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. So, no, this has been great. I really, thank you for coming on and talking about this. Yeah. So a lot of great information today. Jordan talked about, really being open and being vulnerable in the marketing, looking at doing things different. Look, if you're doing things the same way that you've been doing them since 1980 or earlier, and you haven't changed, you got to do it. And things are changing. You got demographics that are changing. You got these, scary millennials that are coming up, and they're consuming information and marketing message totally differently than they did, the 20 years ago. You really got to look at that. Be open. Be vulnerable. I love that. If you're looking to make that change, bring in an outside group to be able to kind of give you that perspective, that fresh set of eyes to be able to look, outside the box and bring in new solutions and new messaging to help to maybe pull out some of that story. And the results will be fantastic. I can guarantee you. So that's the challenge. Take some of this information and put it to good use. So. Thanks again for watching this episode of IndustrialSage. As always, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share, do all the things. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. We've got our website. We're also on iTunes, so if you like watching these, subscribe on iTunes. If you listen to them on iTunes, subscribe on the email base. It's exciting. So stay tuned for more awesome episodes that are going to be coming up next week. And thanks again. Have a great day.